I finally got around to watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End after a ton of hype. After constantly seeing it on the homepage of Crunchyroll, I've had multiple friends in my real life talking about how good this show is, and while I will say, before I get into it, because I have my critiques about it, okay? I'm not completely satisfied with the show. It left me on a good ending, okay? I was happy with it once I was done. We're going to be talking about Frieren Beyond Journey End. I'm going to give a spoiler review. I'm going to walk you through. I don't know how well this is going to go, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of nothing that happened in this show, and typically I'm like, I'm going to walk through each episode, talk about what's going on, but what am I supposed to say? Frieren walked. Okay, we're going to be trying our best, okay? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels. Guys, let's talk about Frieren Beyond's Journey End. So, what do I think about the show overall? I thought it was insanely slow. I will say the concept is very unique, and it ended up being very good because I can see if there's ever a season 2 and beyond, I could see this being a very, very good show. But to get introduced to everything, the flashbacks, the journey that Frieren went on, I found none of it interesting for so long. It wasn't until, like, I guess you could say it had a good payoff, because once we got to know our characters, once they got on the journey, and once they started having their trial at the end, the show got really, really, really good. But it took too long. I literally watched probably about 20 episodes of it just being, it's alright. But I was kind of forcing myself to watch it at times. And I promise you, in saying all of that, I don't have TikTok brain. I'm very capable of a slow-burning show. Better Call Saul is one of my favorite shows in the entire history of cinema, okay? I just didn't particularly like this. I didn't really understand the idea. While it was unique and it ended up having a payoff, I didn't understand the idea. Okay, there's this big story. We have a hero party. They went on an incredible journey and they fought a demon king. They beat the demon king. And the show takes place after that. They're living with not having a journey and they're looking for a little bit of a new experience. I get the idea. It's a unique idea. It just took way too long for me. So getting actually into the show, we're introduced to our characters. We have everybody, like the celebration after they ended up defeating the Demon King, which I don't remember to what extent they were talking about the Demon King and like how bad it was, but I don't know how long he reigned for. Regardless, they all have their meeting. Frieren and her original group of people that she traveled with, they're like, hey, we're going to meet here 50 years later. And when they end up meeting 50 years later, and this is where the show takes place, everybody is so old, so aged. They want their memories to tell. But Frieren, which is interesting, she is a mage. Did they even call her an elf? She looks like an elf. Regardless, for whatever reason, Frieren lives for centuries, I guess. She has one of her teammates die, and this is actually another really interesting thing now that I'm talking about it. Something that made me laugh throughout this entire thing is Frieren's carelessness for time, because she has centuries. So she has to sit down and wait for 10 years. That's like no big deal. I laughed, and there was a couple points in this show where I think it had a little bit underrated humor in my opinion. But anyways, kicking off the first episode, like I said, she visits one of her other people that she was journeying with. He's old, and he asks her to dive into life-extending magic and train his, however old Fern was at the time, train his adopted daughter to become a mage just like Frieren. Frieren saw some potential. She said yes. But this is where I'm having the problem breaking down this entire show, because what is there really to say besides like, oh, they made some flowers for somebody? I don't think it's worth breaking down all of those episodes. So I think I might have to jump into like when anything of significance kind of happened. I kind of feel bad doing that because typically when I make these videos, I dive into things as deep as I possibly can. It's like the problem that I've had with sitcoms, because what am I supposed to say? I watched Fresh Off the Boat and Jessica had a funny episode. It's difficult to break down some things, but I guess this is what I'm going to have to do. After a few episodes, we're introduced to Mr. Stark, and I don't know if it was Mr. Stark or Mr. Stark, because they said both of them, I think, but it's spelt Stark. I don't know. Regardless, we're introduced to our third character, and I will say, one thing that I did like is I liked our core group of characters. I thought they were good. I thought they worked well together, and I ended up really, really liking Frieren as time went on, and I actually didn't like Fern for that long, but again, as the show closed, as the season closed, I was very invested in everybody, okay? So we have an entire episode where they have to kill a dragon for a village, and they end up meeting this giant warrior named Mr. Stark, but Mr. Stark, he won. He scared the dragon away, and everybody's like praising him to be this crazy warrior, which he's not this crazy warrior. He just froze out of fear, and the dragon kind of went away. So everybody's treating him like a king, but he's actually a scared little boy, and while it was a good series, guys, and I love anime shows so much, but this is something that I really, really, really don't like about anime shows. I don't know if it's considered one of the tropes, but it's like the weak guy where he's like, oh my god, I'm just so scared. Frieren, you need to help me. And they actually talk like that. I know it's like a little bit of a mocking voice to do, but they actually talk like that. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I need you guys to help me. I need to become a warrior. Like, it bothers me. And this is where, again, I feel bad talking about this stuff because I'm about to do another jump because eventually we figure out that Stark is powerful. He was able to use his axe and actually kill a dragon and, like, put a big dent in a mountain or something, right? But then we skip some time and they do this. They buy this. It's someone's birthday. I don't remember when that was, but it didn't matter. Like, none of it was really worth talking about right now. It was barely interesting enough for me to continue watching the show, and it wasn't until we actually got to a demon in the first fight that I was like, all right, this is where it takes off. Let's go. Because I was texting my friend, too. One of my best friends swore by this show. He messaged me back. I was like, dude, I'm not into the show. I'm on, like, episode 8 right now. And he's like, oh, dude, it's okay if you just don't like the best storytelling of all time. I'm like, guy, maybe it's just not my cup of tea. I'm not hating on anybody who likes it. I found it so slow. There was a lot of things that happened here that were insignificant to me. It's like we were living through Frieren. Obviously, we were living through Frieren, but it's like she doesn't care how slow time goes on, but I want to watch a show. I want something to happen. And then I got all excited because we had a really good fight scene with the demon at first. Well, it wasn't really like a long fight scene, but it was good enough to be like, all right, here we go. We're going to find demons. This is going to be the new point, and I'm excited. That's all. We're just introduced to a demon, and then where you see like we learn a little bit about them, what they do. We have some flashbacks, and that's it. The demon gets destroyed. And nothing else really happened until we met Sign, which there wasn't too much to break down about him, too. They ended up saving him from getting his, I think he was dying from poison, or he was stuck in somewhere. I don't really remember exactly what that was, but I liked when he actually joined the crew, and I thought we were going to grow to have a brand new crew, and it wasn't just going to be this trio. But I was disappointed to see him just take off. Like, I was like, finally, something interesting. This guy's pretty cool. Yeah, I get the backstory. I like it. But he just took off after a while. What am I supposed to say? But as we continue on with the story, a lot of nothing happened too. Like, Fern got sick, there was a snowstorm, but now we're going to the first class mage exam. And this is where the show took off for me. These last few episodes were very interesting. It was a payoff getting to know the characters and like what they were fighting. At some point we figured out like that Frieren is not an honorable mage and will just attack not doing whatever she's supposed to do. So what they have to do is they all have to capture a bird, right? But it's kind of like anything goes here. They can go kill each other if they want. There are some dangerous mages, there's some great mages, and I really liked all of the characters that were introduced here, and I hope that if this show has another season, I will be watching next season because of the way this ended, but I hope we get to continue to get to know these characters because I liked the very dangerous one. I liked that Fern and Frieren actually got split up. I thought it was funny, like, them getting paired and having their own issues, but I particularly liked the two characters that were a little bit more dangerous. I don't remember their names, but the one guy and the girl, I think she had green hair, but they were just killers. They had no problem killing each other. Frieren had an insane fight, like just, she did a good job using aura, right? Like just, oh my god, that's Frieren just so effortless here, like blocking magic. And then I find it funny too how Frieren is just so careless, like not fighting the honorable way. I don't really remember what all that was about, but I liked all of that. She displayed how powerful she was. They all ended up catching the bird, and Frieren, it was funny, like, watching them work together with these characters that we haven't seen the entire time. Like, all of that was way more interesting than our main group just walking along. We actually had a task. But the second trial was the one that was even more interesting, where all of the mages had to go into this dungeon or this ancient ruins that was, nobody's ever passed. I don't remember if they said nobody's ever passed, but people die all the time, and I liked how dangerous it was. We know that people die there. I think I remember them coming across like a body or something like that. I don't really recall, but it was funny watching everybody like being all scared going through it, and Frieren just doesn't give two craps. She ends up like examining every single little bit of the dungeon. Fern's getting frustrated with her, but on the other side of the coin, when we go visit the other parties, and this is what I liked, the other parties were also interesting. They all had their own personalities. They all had their own way to doing things. Nobody wanted to work together except for the old guy who got a few people, and I liked the bottles too, where they had to break it and just run away. Everything that we ended up learning about that dungeon was really, really cool. And I particularly, of course, liked the big battle that they had with Frieren. And I liked that the dungeon was kind of copying everybody. They had to figure out Fern's weakness. And it's funny to me, like, I really, really enjoy the character of Fern because she's this, like, ridiculously powerful mage with all of this wisdom in the world, knows everything there is to know about magic. And then, I don't know why, it's funny to me. She's like, oh, haven't you noticed for Frieren's weakness? It's a little embarrassing. I don't know, like the way she's so nonchalant about it and like her little quirks. I really like the character of Frieren, but they end up having an incredible battle. I loved it. Frieren showed off her skills, and I was like, where was all of this the entire show? Why couldn't I have seen them actually go on a certain mission instead of walking to this town, walking to that town? I honestly, guys, I wasn't interested in all of the flashbacks of everything that Frieren has experienced. And I get that it did its job in telling the story, but I think it could have been a standalone show just fine. I thought it was okay. But anyways, we have a very, very fun entire few episodes of however long they spent in the dungeon. And then we move on to the third and final test. So something that I forgot to mention, actually, speaking of this third task, was whoever was running, the name's escaping me, whoever was running the entire thing, I really was interested in everything going on with her. She was very powerful. She's like I would imagine she's more powerful than Frieren. I don't think they fought each other in the past because there's a lot of like suggesting to the past. So she's going in. She's using just her intuition to pass people, to fail people. Just by the way, that they're thinking, I guess she can read minds. Fails a bunch of people. She fails Frieren because Frieren couldn't be bothered about the entire thing. And she's like, of course I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines of like, how could somebody so disinterested and so you just defeat the Demon King? And then Frieren just didn't care, right? She said that Fern would pass, and Fern did pass. She was interested, and Fern wanted to stay with Frieren. It was cool. I liked seeing everybody that got to pass, and the show kind of concluded with Frieren going back to her memories, being happy that she's still continuing on a journey, making more memories, and they're continuing on with their journey, which I like that there's going to be another season, or at least I would imagine, especially with how successful this has been. I would imagine that they're definitely going to be making more seasons. So now that it ended on such a good note for me. It had action, thought, wholesomeness. Frieren was great. I got to know the characters by the end. I liked it all, and I'm feeling good about it going into season 2. But if season 2 continues on the like the level that season 1 was, where it's like, I'm gonna walk here, I'm gonna help somebody with their flower shop. Oh, we're gonna spend 20 minutes because we need money to buy a donut. Like, I know that I don't think that particular thing happened, but it was something about them not having money for lunch. But you get my point. A lot of it seemed senseless to me, but I get the payoff at the end. So this show was just okay for me. I'm definitely going to be watching a season 2 if there is another season 2. But if you want to talk about an anime show that I absolutely do love, and maybe you'll understand why this one wasn't up my alley, why don't you check out my season 1 Attack on Titan review. I'd love to have you over there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care, everybody.